Welcome back to the New Bridge Radio Show on WLTKDB Let's Talk. I am your host, Kevin Mackey, and we are connecting you to what's next in your life. And we're here to remind you that you are important to this world, and we sure are glad to have you along on this episode of the New Bridge Radio Show. We are back from our summer break, and we sure hope you enjoyed the Summer Rewind series. We sure loved putting that together for you. Those were four of our best shows, and though all of those guests, I just want to thank them again for being a part of our Summer Rewind show. We are very excited to put it together for you. We are live in this episode of the New Bridge Radio Show, and we are now broadcasting live on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on Twitch, and several other platforms, even on the WLTKDB website. We have added video, and we are sure excited about this and this new step in WLTKDB's existence, and I hope you enjoy this show as it's the new one. If you would like to get in touch with the New Bridge Radio Show, you can email us at thenewbridgeradioshow@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. We love to know what you like about the show. We love knowing kind of what you don't like about the show, or we love show ideas. If you are wanting to see something on the New Bridge Radio Show that you haven't seen so far, we would love to hear about it. Just drop us a line at thenewbridgeradioshow@gmail.com, and we'll read your email. We also would love to know if you'd like to be our guest on the New Bridge Radio Show. We love connecting to people who have connected to what was next in their life and figured out what the universe had for them. So if you're one of those people, email the show and let us know, and we'll share your story on the air and have you as our guest. Now, tonight on the New Bridge Radio Show, we are very fortunate to have a talented poet and writer who loves language as well as helping people out. He is the co-host of the God Pill Wisdom podcast, and he is the author of Bad Boy. He is the author of Beauty. He is also the author of Proverbs of Wisdom, The Poetic Writings of Augustus V, and many, many other books. You can find his books on Amazon.com. And we are so thrilled to have him on our show. Welcome, Augustus Vaughn. Welcome to the New Bridge Radio Show. How are you doing tonight?
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm doing great. And, just honored and very privileged to be on your show.
Well, we're sure glad to have you. It's our summer return, Augustus. So this is our new volume 6 of the New Bridge Radio Show. And we are pleased that we get to start it with a young person.
Yes, indeed.
That's why I'm thrilled to have you. So, Augustus, I have come to know a little bit about your story. I knew you were born in Southern California, and you were actually born during the Watts riots down there.
Yeah, actually, it was the LA riots. Many get those two confused, but the 92 riots, that's the LA riots. It took place in Watts, though.
Mm-hmm. And because of that event, your parents were very concerned about your well-being, and so they sent you to an unusual place.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Yeah, they sent me out to Italy. I went out to live out there before I could really talk. And it's funny because every time someone says, "Oh, so you're from Italy," and then they start speaking Italian to me, it's like, okay, I couldn't talk. But yeah, I lived out there for a bit, so I could have a better environment. And eventually I got sent back to California, LA specifically. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you lived with your uncle in Rome?
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Oh, now is your uncle, is he part of the Catholic Church, or is he just working and living in Italy?
No, it was military. He was out there, stationed out there.
In the military. I see. So was it difficult for you to be away from your mom and dad?
Not necessarily. I was a baby. you know.
Right.
So so I don't know if I even said mama or dad. I don't even know if that came out my mouth yet. But
Mhm.
yeah, the timing was just perfect.
Oh, nice. So how old were you when you came back to the United States?
I was around elementary, around that age.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Was it, I'm curious to know, was it actually like a shock to come back into the United States? Were you a little bit overwhelmed?
It was easy because I was still learning a lot about life. Learning how to shoot a basketball, learning
Mhm.
how to play on a jungle gym. Things of that nature. Getting kicked by the girls. And getting chased by the girls. All those things. So yeah, it was a very perfect age and very perfect transition.
Mhm, mhm. And what was it like being around your parents again? Were you delighted?
Um, it was almost like my first time. Meeting them.
Mhm.
My mom, she would visit very often, so it was almost as if we were never really apart, if you will.
Mhm, mhm.
But when I came out there, it was very it it it, it was like we reunited.
Mhm,
I'll put it that way.
mhm. So I'm curious. When you came back, did you kind of feel maybe a calling on your life when you were that young?
I can say yeah, in many senses. I came up in the church. I was brought up in the church. So when you
Mhm.
bring up the term calling, that's like it's like hearing thunder from the sky when you bring the
Right.
term calling up. So I most definitely do. I ran into some significant experiences when I was younger, some spiritual experiences, and some experiences where I wasn't even sure if it was spiritual or if it was just a coincidence, but things that you kind of just chew on and kind of
Mhm.
observe over time.
Right. Were you experiencing any kind of like psychic phenomena when you were young?
Most definitely. I won't say psychic in terms of people per se, but
Mhm.
I remember I seen an angel for the first time when I was around. Oh man, I was still barely talking when this happened. I was around 5,
Mhm.
and I was in my living room, and it was dark,
Mhm.
you know, and usually that age you're still kind of afraid of the dark,
Right.
you know, and but for whatever reason, I was just walking, just comfortable, and I seen something in the sky, and it wasn't as blunt as a lot of people's experiences when they see angels. Usually they see bright lights and how art thou, fear not, and things of that nature.
Mhm.
But in this sense, it was a lot more. It was a lot more casual, and I just knew they were from God. I just knew it was from God. So yeah, most definitely, and that's not the only occasion.
Yeah, yeah. So kind of the same thing. The same thing kind of happened when I was young as well. I was able to see spirits, and so I, at a young age, I kind of went to church without my parents
Mm,
when I was young, and
mm,
most of it was for was for protection, really,
mm,
because I felt very strange. But if people would have asked me when I was young,
mm,
if they would have said, "Hey, Kevin, what are you going to be when you grow up?" I would have
mm,
said to them without any kind of hesitation, "I am going to be a pastor when I grow
mm,
up."
mm,
And I felt like this was always what I was meant to be.
mm.
And even when I was going through high school, I was like, oh, this is what I'm meant to be, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna be a youth pastor first, and then I'll, I had this plan of how I was going to go out. And you kind of had that plan too. You attended Bible college in Broken Arrow, and I'm curious, was that Kenneth Hagin's Bible college?
Yes, yes, indeed. Rhema Bible Training Center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my first pastor, when I was a teenager, well, not my first pastor, but one of my pastors when I was a teenager, graduated from that Bible school, Rhema Bible School, in back
Oh
in
wow.
the 80s.
Wow.
And I think when he went, Augustus, I think that Kenneth Hagin was actually still living then,
Yeah.
and still involved with the school.
Yeah.
Now, I understand. Were there a lot of practical jokes in that school?
Uh, you said practical jokes.
Yes.
Uh, in terms of
Light-hearted practical jokes.
lighthearted,
Y-
um, like just period or
y-
towards
yep.
uh I mean none that none that are coming to memory at the time, but I'm sure there were. I'm
Well,
sure.
it was
Yeah.
probably, my pastor that went there was very serious. And so, and extremely studious, and he went on to become further education. And
Mm.
the Bible college I was going to go to had a lot of practical jokes like that. People found their clothes run up the flagpole, all kinds of things like that Bible youth participate in.
Wow.
So so tell me about just going there. How did you feel led to do this?
um so just a little brief history of what high school and middle school was like for me. So high school was first year was absolute hell.
Hmm.
Absolute hell. um I wasn't I wasn't going to high school in LA, but the town that I was in, a lot of people from LA was coming to that school,
Hmm.
and it was almost as if they were trying to turn the school into LA,
Mm.
and not in the best way. I mean, LA has a lot of great stuff, and many call it the aside from New York, the land of opportunity,
Hmm.
right? But they weren't bringing opportunity with them. They were bringing the the street life with them, and bringing the the stuff
Hmm.
that you shouldn't bring to school with them. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, excuse me for my insensitivity, but it's like, all right, idiots, great, bring this to school, bring this out here when you're not in LA, but you're not going to bring that to LA because you're too scared.
Right.
so so it was a lot of long story short, first year of high school was hell. Second year, it was hell on steroids. And by my third year of high school, I just went homeschool, and my church had a Bible camp. And I went on that Bible camp. It was about 3 days. And man, that was my first God encounter.
Mm.
I grew up in the church, but it wasn't until I went to that Bible camp that I had my first God encounter where it was just me and him.
Hmm.
And mind you, I've already read the Bible, the entire Bible, before I even went to this Bible camp. I went through it in middle school, you know.
Hmm.
So to find that I had to get away from everything just to have my first God encounter, that was very interesting. My second Bible camp, it was the next year, and it was actually the Bible school that my older brother went to, and it was a Bible camp at his Bible school.
Hmm.
And from then on, I just had it on my heart to go to a Bible school, and it's been on ever since.
Hmm. And so after you went and experienced Bible college, um, did it change you profoundly?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I was always enthused about the Word of God.
Hmm. Hmm.
It was very intriguing to me, and I even found a way to get entertainment out of it. I didn't really need. I never really had a big need for entertainment or fun per se. I've gotten my fun. I've gotten my entertainment out of the Word of God.
Hmm.
So um, for that to be my narrative at a young age, what happened was when I actually came across or visited my first Bible school, Bible college. Um, it was like heaven for me.
Hmm.
I had no idea that there were places like this, and it was just an amazing experience. The people were very hospitable. It was in the South, so they live according to hospitality out there. Um, the ministers, they were all on fire. The people that were there, they were on fire, and it was a different fire, a different desire for God and the things of God, and just to be submerged in it, it was really amazing.
Yes, so I have two cousins from that area, and I think I'm not sure they would consider themselves from the South, but they sure talk like it. Like when we were younger, we'd always look at them. I
Yeah.
guess we'd be always be like, "Where do you get the accent from?" But eh, not only were you called, into the ministry, and I'm sure you probably had an idea of what you might be doing
Yeah.
when you left. How did that kind of change?
um there's one saying which is very powerful, and I think it's applicable to many schools in the world, and that are Bible based as well. But they said the real test isn't at the end of this class. The real test isn't while you're still going to school here. The real test is when you leave this school. It's when you go back home. It's when you go back to your loved ones and those that you don't love or are too crazy about. That's when the real test happens.
Hmm.
And I mean, hearing that, I mean, the entire class almost fell out of their seats, holding on to their seats to not fall out when the instructors will say that. But to find that out firsthand,
Hmm.
I mean, heavy. So
Yes.
finding God's call on my life, it had to do a lot with those tests and kind of just being forced to keep going back to Him.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, did you see when you were going, Augustus, did you see yourself becoming a pastor of a church somewhere?
No, to tell you the truth, I had the least desire to become a pastor. Uh,
No.
uh, for for obvious and non-obvious reasons, But I never had it in my heart to be a pastor because, first of all, I knew that there were too many pastors in the world already.
Hmm.
Um, Second of all, I knew that most of the pastors that were pastors weren't called by God; they were called by men. See, so I knew the Lord wasn't calling me to be a pastor from the get go.
Hmm.
Um, but whenever I would go somewhere, whenever I would do anything, just for my pure love for God and the things of God, um, someone would just out of nowhere ask me for advice,
Hmm.
And this is when I was working certain 9 to 5s and things of that nature. I have co-workers, and they'll ask me, okay, what do I do with my girl? This girl's tripping me out. She's, she's driving me up the wall, and I'll just give them godly advice. I'll really quote the word to them without really quoting the word, if you will.
Hmm.
And next thing I know, these guys are coming to me in tears, thanking me, and I'm telling them, hey man, that wasn't me, man, that was God. and having grown men to have a grown man that's 3 times your size to call you an angel. That there's a calling in that,
Right.
and that's better than money.
Right. And so you found that happening frequently then, like that kind of knowing.
Yeah, very often, and yeah, it sometimes I'll find out later. I won't always find out on the spot, but it happened very often.
Mm. Well, I guess as we are going to have to step away and take a brief break, but we will be right back after these messages on the New Bridge Radio Show.
Paranormal evidence. We scour the internet searching for true paranormal captures, information, and education. New methods mixed with old methods of capturing this mysterious phenomenon. Well, look no further for your ghostly voices than ghostly-voices.com. Nicole Tito and Lisa Crick take you on a journey into their paranormal world and provide you with true EVP and ITC audio captures, compelling information on debunking, some hilarious bloopers, and more. Remember, these two are veterans in the field and know how to capture the true evidence you are looking for. Ghostly-voices.com, your paranormal stop for true audio evidence. Ghostly-voices.com. A book of mystery, a book of one man's journey, a book of the afterlife, a book you must read. Ghost and Me by 5-time award-winning author Kevin Killen is a book of one man's journey in the search of the afterlife. Read of his chilling childhood experience, his investigative journeys, and his opinions of paranormal activity. Ghost and Me by Kevin Killen, an Ozark Mountain publication. Get your copy today online or wherever books are sold.
Welcome back to the New Bridge Radio Show on WLTKDB Let's Talk. I am your host, Kevin Mackey, and if you're just now joining us, we are joined by our guest, Augustus Vaughn. He is a writer, he is a poet, and a spiritual minister, and we are having a great talk. Augustus, I am curious to know this because I know in your bio you found a love of poetry, and you were even teaching poetry to other people when you were young. How did that come about?
All right. Yeah, sure. So the poetry, in all essence, the poetry came in through music, through an art form of music, which many know today as hip hop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I grew up around hip hop. I always had a real love for it. But it wasn't until I got older and I started really submersing myself in the things of God that I realized that lyricism or rap, which is actually an acronym for rhythm and poetry, is poetry in its root form.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I noticed that, it kind of allowed me to relate a little more to the writers like King David, King Solomon, all of the other prolific writers, even Paul the Apostle, many of the prolific writers of old. And it inspired me to pick up the pen again and to really hit things from a more spiritual aspect, from more of a ministry aspect, and from more of a poetic aspect.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you also have regular poets that inspire you?
Um, you said poets?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, most definitely. Man, I like E. E. Cummings.
Hmm.
I can't quote Shakespeare verbatim, but the respect is there. Um, Modern poets, man, there's a lot of people that's right under our noses that we don't realize are actual poets. Alicia Keys is a phenomenal poet.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
Jill Scott, she's a phenomenal poet. Felicia Rashad, phenomenal poet. There's one guy from this rap group from the '90s called Company Flow. His name is Gemini,
Hmm.
phenomenal poet. When you take the beat away, when you take the rhythm away, and it's just him and the crowd, him and you. Oh my God, phenomenal
Hmm.
poet. So there's many modern poets today that they're right under your nose, but man, their ability to do what they do with the pen and pad is just awe-inspiring to say the least.
Exactly. One, I love going on Amazon and looking through anthologies.
Mm,
It has been one of the best things about having Kindle and having electronic books is you can go on to Amazon and find anthologies of some of these famous poets, and some of them are actually free, and
mm,
you don't have to pay anything for some of these. And some of them, you can find anthologies of university anthologies like Harvard, and you can find other big schools where you can go through and find all these works. And I also found the entire works of Maya Angelou on there. Angelou.
wow.
And she is really one of my favorite poets because there's I kind of when I was reading through your stuff, I kind of felt like maybe you had this the same connection as she that she did. And speaking to you, I kind of feel like, and listening to your podcast, I kind of feel like there's a spiritual connection that you have with words.
Mhm.
Now, when you were younger, did you find yourself to be a rabid reader?
Um, only for the Bible.
Oh, really?
See,
Uh-huh.
to be honest, and I know that sounds like a spiritual answer, but
No, that's oh no, that's fine.
but it's that was the only book that I could pick up
Mhm.
and stay into because um, I was too young to know about personal development. You know,
Right.
I was too young to know about Tony Robbins and things of that nature.
Mhm.
Um, but the Bible, whenever I would pick it up, I knew that this was going to do something good for me. You know,
Mhm.
other than that, everything else that I really read, it was by form of audio,
Mhm.
if you will. Um, but yeah, it's and now, especially now, since there's so many audiobooks out there. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna pick something up when I can listen to it, and write notes, write based off of what I'm hearing, you
Mhm.
know. But yeah, I wasn't necessarily a rabid reader.
Mhm. So, who now, in your experience, motivated you to start writing poetry yourself?
Mm, uh, probably probably the people that I came up with um, more than likely there was one of my greatest mentors, if not my greatest mentor. He had a thing for poetry, and
Mhm.
this is what we call street poetry. He was a
Uh-huh.
phenomenal rapper in his day, and you could give him a topic and he could freestyle about it. Um, there was one scenario where this was in a youth service, a youth church service, and he got up in front of everyone and they had a beat going, and
Mhm.
he actually rapped about the story of from Genesis all the way up to Deuteronomy, and rapped about Moses, Joseph, and it was all freestyle from the top of his head.
Oh, nice.
So when I seen that, I said, "Oh, okay, I think this is the path that I want to go down."
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, are you able to freestyle too?
Yes, I am.
Nice. So are you like, can you just take a subject and go and do and make up a lyric to it?
I actually could.
I'm not going to ask you to do it on here. Like, okay, take it away, Augusta.
Yeah, yeah, thank God. But
Right.
yeah, I do have the ability to do so. It's I don't do it so much these days per se because I've taken on a different path. But there
Mhm.
was a time where when I was really in my prime, I could really come up with something very quickly.
Oh, nice. So from there, you started writing books as well, and one of your books that is very interesting that you have written is called Bad Boy.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that book, about the bad boy.
All right. So the bad boy is the bad boy in all essence is about that guy. It's about what they would call the man. If someone did something courageous or very inspiring, they'll say, "Man, you're the man." That's that's what the bad boy is all about. It's about that character that you see in the next action movie you watch. It's the guy that goes out, takes the enemy out, saves the girl. Uh, does it again, takes the other girl, saves the other girl, and you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
by the time you're done with the series, he has his own harem. The bad boy, the rebel, the man, the cool guy. I noticed when I was writing this, there was a lot of people that was trying to portray this image. Uh, a lot of gentlemen that will see a movie and feel inspired, then go out to the gym and sure try to better themselves, but have no idea why they're going down this path aside from this movie that they've seen, you know. And the bad boy, I was inspired to write it because I noticed that there were a lot of women that were being hurt by this gentleman, and I noticed that there were a lot of men or males that were sacrificing their manhood just to become this gentleman. And this picture, this portrait of this guy that could take down an army and catch bullets with his teeth. Um, that image they don't show in the movies that many of these guys have a reason. They have a certain why that if you don't have this kind of life, you shouldn't sign up for it. And many they're willing to sacrifice their manhood to become this guy, and
Hmm.
they think that is making them a man. But the media does not portray what a real man is today. It's very unfortunate. But many of these guys that'll go down this road, they don't understand that you're not supposed to put your hands on a woman. You know,
Right.
they don't understand that you're supposed to walk a elderly lady across the street, and the same guy that will watch this same movie, instead of helping this elderly lady, he'll hunk at her. You know,
Hmm.
and I noticed a lot of this was going on, even with the women's rights that's happening. Women are trying their best to fight against this, but you'll have certain gentlemen that'll open the door for the woman, and she would, of course, today she won't say thank you. She'll act a certain way, and the male, he'll get mad at her, and it's like, all right, if you're a real man, you didn't open that door for her. You did it for yourself. You did it because that's who you are, regardless if she shows gratitude or not. See,
Hmm.
and the bad boy, in all essence, doesn't get that. He doesn't understand that. So I put the bad boy out there to kind of paint the picture of this path that many gentlemen think they want to go down, and to kind of reach out to the gentlemen that are already down this path and they kind of want to find a way out.
Right.
It's a vice versa healing structure that this book does. So yeah, that's the bad boy.
And by the end of it, you give kind of a frame for understanding healing and understanding spirituality.
Yes. Yes.
Mm. That's very clever, Augustus, for someone so young.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
And do you feel like there's much more to come as far as men? Because I feel like men kind of have perpetuated a lot of wrongs that have been happening in the world. Do you feel like there's more coming, like more ministry like that coming for men?
Um, I believe, based on what we're seeing in the media, that many are seeking, and I believe that everyone understands that things are wrong. They're getting out of hand now. Um, but in all essence, real ministry, I believe, is going to take a while before we get there. Reason why is because many are going to the wrong sources for their answers. Um, Many are, in all essence, a lot of the people that are seeking philosophy and philosophical answers to many of these means, they don't even believe in Socrates. They
Mhm.
they don't they don't even believe that Socrates really existed. They don't believe in Plato. They don't read their writings. They don't understand the fathers of thought, and those are just for the philosophical answers. See, so I believe it is going to take some time before we get there,
Mhm.
but eventually, if we start focusing on the real manly qualities like responsibility, like confidence, like valor, like honor, um, I believe we will get there.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, so I know in your podcast you've also talked a lot about feeling confident, and tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about that. How do you think that young people can feel more confident?
All right. Well, first of all, we have to remember, we have to be conscious of the fact that confidence is not a emotional matter. See, many people today have taken everything that's good for them, everything that's beneficial, and we've kind of set up this filter of emotion where we attribute everything to how we feel. And many people do want to feel confident when they go out into the world, but confidence wasn't given to us for us to base it off of our emotions. As a matter of fact, if you're truly confident about a thing, you'll be willing to disregard how you feel at that moment in order to act on the thing that you're confident about. See? And that's because, in all essence, it takes much more for me to break this down. But just for the sake of our show today, confidence is a mind matter. It's a mental matter. You,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
have to be confident in your mind. Sure, you can be confident in your emotions, but the problem with that is you're not going to feel the same way that you felt when you heard that Tony Robbins speech, or that or you read Think and Grow Rich, or whatever speech or book you that made you confident. However you feel by the end of that book or the end of that speech, you're not going to feel the same way when you wake up in the morning. You may not even feel like going down that same path. See,
Mhm.
and if your confidence is in your emotional in the emotional side of yourself, then you're going to be a yo-yo. You're going to be back and forth, up and down, because you're basing your confidence on something that is unstable, and that's the emotional realm. See?
You know what? I agree with a lot of that, and one thing that I know that happened in my experience, probably when I was around your age, is
Mhm.
I remember, I was going to university, and one of the things that made me feel confident was doing the work.
Mm.
And so, whenever we were doing anything within, our university, I went to a Catholic university, Augustus, and my goodness, the Catholics are so into homework.
So
Like
I heard.
they pile homework on homework, and it's always a lot of writing. Even in math classes, there's a
Mhm.
paper due. You've got to write about the math, not just do the math. You've got to write a paper on it. But anyway, all of that work, and doing all of that reading, and
Mhm.
building our minds,
Mhm.
um, with knowledge and seeking knowledge, that there was a point where I was in my regular job,
Mhm.
and I had taken on a huge project,
Mhm.
and but I had researched it fully, and that understanding that had come from school and from doing the hard work and doing all the homework
Uh-huh.
came into play during this project,
Mhm.
and I was able to be confident,
Mhm.
because knowledge, I feel, always makes you confident. Knowing, doing the research, doing the knowledge. Did you
Yeah.
kind of find that yourself as well?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. When you attribute confidence with something like knowledge, which is
Hmm.
mind based, mental based,
Hmm.
it works better than if you attribute it with something like that pertains to a good mood.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, if you feel good, if you feel like doing something or feel like putting your mind to something, even it's not as powerful as when someone walks into a room and they know everything about this thing that they're confident about.
Right.
The very knowledge that this person has on this thing gives them confidence.
Hmm.
And it's nothing like talking to somebody that knows what they're talking about.
Right.
You know, I remember I sat on the train at one point, and at one time, and this beautiful young lady, she was older than me,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
beautiful young lady. She sat down by me, and we started talking about poetry, and I was telling her what I know. And
Hmm.
as you bring up Maya Angelou, after I was telling her, I didn't unload on her, but I told her a good idea of what I've learned. And she said, "Well, yeah, that's good, that's good." So when I was studying under Maya Angelou, sweep the rug off of my feet, swept the rug from under my feet. I mean, it it was nothing like talking to that entire conversation was completely different, and
Hmm.
my words were few, very few, except for in questions, because I was talking to someone that knew what they were talking about.
Hmm.
See?
Hmm. I like where you're going with this. So that's I love that discussion, that confidence can now, throughout your hellish high school time, was it confidence that was an issue when you were going through high school?
Um, I won't say confidence was the issue. I might have been a little overconfident in some areas. um, the lack of guidance was the issue.
Mm, mhm,
That was the biggest issue. And then, in all essence, everyone that I came up with, everyone that I liked, everyone that liked me, everyone that I didn't like, and those that didn't like me, we all were in the same boat because we all lacked the guidance that we needed.
mhm, mhm.
So confidence wasn't really too much of an issue then.
Right. When you said your second and third year were absolutely hellish, I kind of relate too. High school, I went to three different high schools when I was
Mm,
a teenager. So it's always awkward being a teen and then being in a new environment all the time. So
yeah.
this hour is flying by, Augustus. I want to ask you another question in regards to your podcast,
Mhm.
because you and James are working so hard on that podcast. Tell us a little bit about the God Pill Wisdom podcast and how it came to be.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah. So this is a show that has been started. I've had the privilege of co-hosting on the show with the good brother Marcus Hart, and
Hmm.
he really put the blueprint, really architect this thing in all essence. And it's something that we came up on based on the wisdom of God,
Hmm.
because if you understand wisdom, and you understand the wisdom of the Stoics and of the fathers of thought and the sophists, and of ancient philosophy, then it's good for you to understand the wisdom of God.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we based the pill side of it off of the matrix concept of taking the red pill or the blue pill.
Hmm.
Red pill being reality, the blue pill being your own reality, which isn't really reality. Um, then there's the black pill, which I wasn't aware of. Uh, this 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 refers to giving up hope. So the black pill is kind of a hopelessness, kind of that Joker kind of state, and the
Hmm.
white pill being, in all essence, having all hope, having the answer, um, having God as your source, or having
Hmm.
higher things as your source. So we said, man, let's make this the God pill wisdom show. We take God's pill for His wisdom.
And you and the two of you have been working hard. When does your podcast load?
So every Tuesday and every Thursday, we have our show,
Hmm.
and yeah, we go live. Sometimes we'll record it and then get it on there. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, I like how hard the two of you are working in the shows that you're putting together. What has been your biggest lesson in the podcast world?
man, biggest lesson is I would say more so concerning guests is well, whenever we have a guest, we just want to make sure that we always want to let them be them. We want to get them as comfortable as possible and let them really, be the show. Because in all essence, when you have a guest on the show, they are the show.
Right,
And
exactly.
yeah, and I've hosted some where I kind of tried to get in there, but that's a mistake on my end. And yeah, now when we have guests, I just love to let people, just let them be them, let them, even if it's not on the topic, just let them
Hmm.
get that, because they're the main attraction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the biggest lessons I learned in this experience, and Newbridge Radio Show, we're not super old ourselves. We're still a
Mhm.
pretty a young we're still a pretty young podcast and now a radio show. But you know what? One of the biggest lessons I learned was to hit the record button.
Uh-oh.
Because when we were starting out as a podcast, we had invited someone to do an interview, and it was such a great conversation that we were having, Augustus. And
Uh-oh.
I looked down and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't been recording a bit of this.
Oh no.
I know. So hopefully you and James never have to go through and do that as well. When I got approached to do this as a live show, I was terribly nervous because I'm kind of a person with high social anxiety anyway. So I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I can't be on the radio live. No. But I really enjoy your podcast. So in the time we have remaining, I'm curious to know, as a young person living in Southern California, which has so much opportunity and so much to look forward to. How do you feel about the future? Do you and your friends feel optimistic as young people? Do you like where we're going?
Um, well, and that's in all lessons. I don't think anyone really enjoys the direction that their society is going in when they're young. You know.
Right. Right. There's a huge amount of debt. I hate it.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know if it's human nature, but many people, they know how to find the wrong in the thing. And when you're talking
Mhm.
about the government and society, um, demographics, things of that nature, politics, even, it's very easy to find something wrong with the thing. But and then once you add on the young part, I like what Don Draper said on the Mad Men series. He said, "Being young is all about being young is all about not knowing that you're young."
Mm, mhm, mhm,
You know,
mhm.
so it's when you factor those two together, in all essence, there's going to have to be a realization within this generation that trumps the realization of the generations before us. And when I say realization, I mean reality, realizing what's really going on, because we can't afford to just be instruments of our environment anymore. We can't afford to trust the powers that be. We can't afford to trust something that's in a store just because it's in there. Um, India has had red 40 to be outlawed. It's illegal, absolutely illegal to have red number 40 in
What?
your
Wait, what
food.
is it?
Red number 40.
What is red number 40?
It's the number one ingredient in Kool-Aid,
Oh,
in red Kool-Aid.
Todd's telling me it's a dye.
Yeah, yeah, it's a dye. Yeah, food coloring.
In Kool-Aid.
But it's so deadly that it's illegal in India, and they understand this.
Mm,
And
mm.
even the McDonald's out there and the certain fast food chains, they have to alter their menus out there because it's absolutely illegal. So so you could go out there on a corner with a box of Kool-Aid to sell Kool-Aid on the corner, and you could do some hard time out there. But out here in America, I mean, we put it in everything. We put corn syrup in everything. The only thing we eat in America is starch and blood and corn syrup. See, so we can't trust everything just because it's put in front of our faces. Not this generation. We're gonna have to, at some point in time, realize what's really going on and make some transitions.
Right. I didn't even know about the Kool-Aid thing. That's the number one drink. I think that's the number one drink my mother gave me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it was deadly. It's
yeah.
no wonder I have so many issues.
Don't we all?
Right, exactly. Well, Augustus, it has been a delight having you on the New Bridge Radio Show. Tell people about your website where they can find you.
Yes, that's augustusvaughn.com. That's Vaughn with a Vaughn, Vaughn. Um, you guys go over there, check out everything on the site. Make sure you get to that wisdom library that's also on the site, and you'll see all of my workings there. There's going to be a lot of free stuff coming out soon. I just finished one book. It's going to be 16 hours deep, and it's all for free. And
Nice.
just to show my appreciation to all of my listeners and fans, and to really hear those testimonies. I'm hungry to hear those testimonies, guys. So make sure you get over to that site, get yourself a free copy, and yeah, stay wise.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a number of Christians in our audience that will love your material and will love viewing that. So,
Wow.
Augustus, let me ask you one final question, which I am also curious to know. Do you feel a sense of unity coming about between different religions?
Yes, in a good way and in a bad way, unfortunately.
Mm, mm. I have. It's been an interesting. The COVID year has been an interesting year. in isolation. And now I think we all just want to be around each other. We all want to be around each other. Like,
Yeah.
please get me out of this room. But I kind of feel, the same thing. Like there's kind of, I feel like we all learned a big lesson with the isolation that we had to go through. Do you
Yeah.
kind of feel the same way as well?
Most definitely. There, the pandemic, this virus, things of that nature. These things have been spoken about, has been warned against for a very long time, and because no one has ever been through anything like that, except for probably the generationalists and the all the war vets, everyone that's been through the Great Depression. Aside from them, no one's really been through anything that we've been warned against. So
Right.
when they'll hear prophecies, when they would hear warnings, they'll say, "Oh, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen in my lifetime," and it happened.
Right.
And Biden, he's actually talking about the possibility of another shutdown. So it's it's not even over, And
Right.
we all, I think, yeah, most definitely.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Augustus. You are fascinating. I can't thank you enough for being our guest. That's going to
Thank
do
you.
it for us on the New Bridge Radio Show. And I am so pleased that you were along. Hello, Nicole. I saw your message there in the fancy new chat. Tune in next week. We will be talking about brain waves and meditation with our guest, Vanessa, next week. And she woke up and was completely paralyzed, but she was able to come out of it and be healed. So we'll be talking about that next week on the New Bridge Radio Show. That's it for us, and stay tuned for Haunted Voices.